Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we are talking about how there is actually plenty of reason to believe that Nintendo is still hiding something huge about Nintendo Switch 2, and that something may be more than just one big something. It could be several big somethings, and that's what I want to dive further into today. But before going forward, let me take this moment to point out that I am aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers by the time the Switch 2 launches. So if you find yourself enjoying my content, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit that notification bell. So the recent event that occurred that has led me to making this particular video today has to do with this recent interview between GamesRadar and Takaya Imamura. For those that don't know, Takaya Imamura used to work with Nintendo. He recently retired a few years back, 2021, and he's responsible for some of the art direction for Zelda, Star Fox, and F-Zero. So he's a pretty big deal. And this is what he said. The Switch has had a really long lifespan, and it's sold really well, which must mean that this is something that is a global success. It's got supporters all around the world, and I was thinking it would be difficult to really change that. But having said that, I think they've still got something up their sleeves. And so this was said in relation to what Nintendo has upcoming in Switch 2. And it does get me wondering, what is Imamura suggesting here? Does he think there's more to what Nintendo has shown so far about Switch 2? And at first glance, I would say, well, obviously we need to learn more about the games, sure, and a lot of details, because Nintendo hasn't fully shown off the console. But it also got me thinking about something else that came up very recently as well, from the investor Q&A that came out last week. So reading the second question here, regarding the recently announced Nintendo Switch 2, what kind of feedback have you received from customers and software developers after the preview video was released? I'd like to know the reaction from people. President Shuntaro Furukawa. We announced on January 16th that the successor to the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch 2, will be released in 2025 along with a preview video. Detailed information about the Nintendo Switch 2 will be provided in the Nintendo Direct Nintendo Switch 2 2025 April 2nd, to be released on April 2nd, 2025. In addition, we will be holding Nintendo Switch 2 experience events in cities around the world, where you can experience the Nintendo Switch 2 early. That part's obvious, but here, we are grateful that many people around the world have been seeing the trailer, but since we have only shown the name and shape of the hardware, we believe that we will have to wait until detailed information is released on April 2nd to get a true sense of the reaction. At this point in time, many people are interested, so we will first focus on releasing that information, and then have many people actually get their hands on the hardware to convey its appeal. So I find this quote very interesting, because investors were asking the president of Nintendo how was the audience reaction to the initial Switch 2 reveal, and while Furukawa did note that there was a positive reaction, he also essentially said that they are waiting until they show off everything in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd to truly gauge what the public thinks of Switch 2. And so between Imamura's comments and comments from the president of Nintendo, Shuntaro Furukawa, I'm starting to venture down this path of what exactly could Nintendo be holding back here that they're waiting to show off on April 2nd. And the first thing that comes to mind is the hidden button. So if you've been keeping up with all the different Switch 2 leaks that were happening leading up to the reveal on January 16th, a lot of us knew pretty much exactly how the tablet and controller would look. They even had this at CES. But unlike the blank extra button in the Switch 2 reveal trailer, in all the leaks this extra button has the letter C. And so this has led some people to think that, oh, the leaks were wrong, but considering the leaks got literally every other thing right, like even the colors, the accents, the dimensions of the controller, I think it's far more likely that what's actually going on is that Nintendo intentionally obscured that little detail. Why? Because they're keeping it up their sleeve. They are holding back from revealing this information. It's a big secret that they want to tell us more about on April 2nd, and when people see this functionality, that will give Nintendo a better understanding of what the public thinks of Switch 2. And there have been some theories going around that this button has to do with some sort of communication feature. It is, from the leaks, it has the letter C, so it's some sort of C button, And the most widely believed rumor right now about what this button actually does exactly is that it provides access to group chats with different Nintendo Switch Online members, up to 12, with screen sharing, video sharing, and all that good stuff, which would be a significant advancement for Nintendo standards, for sure. Nintendo has not been known for having great online support or voice chat features for their consoles. But with a feature like this, that could be changing. Now, something obvious that Nintendo's holding back on is literally the games. We don't know about the games right now. But there have been many rumors and reports that there's going to be a significant amount of strong AAA third-party support on the Switch 2. And when you consider this potential for advanced communication features, it might suggest that Nintendo's catching up to the competition here and positioning themselves to have a platform that will have comparable features to the other platforms out there where big AAA third-party games can essentially be the same experience on the Switch 2, which would be huge for Nintendo. The Switch had some decent third-party support, but a lot of games came out late, voice chat features weren't always readily available, the different ways in which you connect with your friends is not as seamless or integrated as it is with the competition, and from a specs perspective, it's clear that these games were not looking or running nearly as well. But if Nintendo's improving upon the communication features, and if the Switch 2 is at a powerful enough of a level, especially when you account for Nvidia upscaling, that at least games look and run pretty good and they're not blurry messes, essentially where it's good enough to the point where most fans playing will not think it's really that much lesser, Nintendo could be onto something huge here. In a recent Capcom interview, we got this. Of course, with relation to platforms from Monster Hunter Wilds, we have nothing extra to announce beyond what's already out there. But we're also kind of in the same position everyone else is with the Switch 2. It's such a brand new announcement, and we would need to take time over the coming future to learn exactly the nature of the hardware and how we'll be using it best, and that's something that's going to be in the future for us. So at this point in time, I have zero doubts that Capcom has dev kits for Switch 2. They should already be well aware of what they can do with Switch 2. Really, what I think these comments suggest is that they can't confirm anything about Switch 2 right now. Nintendo is keeping their different partners quiet. So if there is a Monster Hunter Wilds on the way for Switch 2, they can't say anything yet. So this lack of deconfirming, I actually would argue, bodes well for Monster Hunter Wilds coming eventually to Switch 2. Perhaps it's something that could be announced during the Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd. And here's some other interesting comments from Take-Two, the parent company to Rockstar, the developer of Grand Theft Auto. There was a time when Nintendo platforms are really geared at a younger audiences, and that was reflected in our release schedule. And that now today, with Switch and potentially with Switch 2, the Switch device can support any audience. So, while we have nothing specific to report, we actually would fully expect to support Switch. And so what's really fascinating about this is that they are here saying that in the past, they did not support Nintendo because of the audience that was more so geared towards children. But they are also saying now that's no longer the case, and that their types of games would fit the Switch audience, or the Switch 2 audience. It was also noted that GTA 6 is currently only announced for PS5 and Series X, but other versions could follow. Other versions, as in what other versions? As in PC and Switch 2. So that's not confirmation either, but it does provide some decent hope that even Grand Theft Auto 6 could be coming to Switch 2. And so right now, a lot of big third-party publishers are under NDA. They cannot say what games they have coming to Switch 2. But on April 2nd, a lot of that is going to open up. Moving past third-party stuff though and focusing on Nintendo-published games. A few days ago, when Nintendo confirmed the specific time for the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, Masahiro Sakurai quote-tweeted this and said, "Wow," which led to some people speculating, myself included, that he might be teasing that he might be responsible for some kind of game in this Direct. Masahiro Sakurai does have a history of teasing future projects. He's even already on the record for saying that he's received a request to write a game proposal which he finished at lightning speed, so he's already been teasing that he has some game in the works, and we don't know what it is, but it might be in the Switch 2 Direct. Speaking more so on other big secrets that Nintendo may be holding back here, are big anniversary events. Just a couple days ago, I talked about how both Mario's 40th anniversary and Zelda's 40th anniversary may be playing vital roles in the beginning years of Switch 2. Nintendo may be using these events to help excite their respective fan bases for Mario and Zelda and get them involved with Switch 2 early on. And so there could be some big releases that Nintendo has yet to announce for the Switch 2 having to do with both Mario and Zelda. Which, considering the beginning of a new generation, that should also not come as much of a surprise. But something else that's a little bit peculiar is if we've already seen a little bit of Mario Kart. But the little bit we see of Mario Kart is pretty conservative. It's off-screen footage, they only shared a 1080p video, and of course when you take into account compression, all these different things are not really allowing us to see Mario Kart for Switch 2 in its full glory. And so it's led to a lot of conversation about just how advanced this next Mario Kart game is. And something that I've analyzed a few different times and made a few videos about already is that when you take a close look, there are some things about this game that are objectively significant improvements over Mario Kart 8. But because of the method in which it's been shown, that's not really clear to most people. It won't be until Nintendo starts to show it off to the world in a more advantageous way, potentially with the next big Switch 2 Direct, which I'm going to theorize is not just going to be a 1080p stream. I would not be surprised if Nintendo finally starts doing the 4K 60 live streams moving forward. But there are other things that have been going on. We pretty much already know for 100% that the Switch 2 Joy-Cons are going to have a mouse feature. We've seen this from the patents. And it certainly gets us wondering on what this could offer for different games. For a lot of different PC ports, there's clearly some advantages there, but for a lot of first-person shooters or any game that has some sort of pointer controls, there's some clear advantages there. Which then leads me to wondering about what may be going on with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This is a big game coming to Nintendo Switch 1, but it's been theorized by many, myself included, that it's going to be a big cross-generation title. And what's getting increasingly more interesting about this particular situation is that as we dive deeper and deeper into the month of February, the odds of there being a big General Direct in February are dropping. And so if Nintendo does not have a big General Direct for Switch 1 in this month of February, I think that comes with a stronger implication that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is being saved to be showcased more so in the Switch 2 Direct in April. Which would then mean that yes, it is indeed a cross-generation game that is seeing enhancements for its Switch 2 version. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be a Direct in February, there still may very well be one, but the only insider that has been consistently saying that there will be a Direct in February this time is PH Brazil. And so with others not hearing anything, I start to wonder, maybe this Direct is not going to be as big, maybe it's going to be more along the lines of a partner or a Direct Mini. The kinds of directs that PH Brazil has reported on as of late. And then also, if we do have a big direct on April 2nd, with that point alone, it does already have me thinking that maybe it doesn't make sense to have two big directs in such close proximity. But a partner showcase or a direct mini of some kind, I can see that happening, especially because we are transitioning from Switch 1 to Switch 2. But if there is something like that, something big like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, I just don't think it would be shoehorned into a smaller presentation like that. I think it would be saved for a bigger direct. And so considering all the points I've brought up today, I think it's fair to say that Nintendo is still clearly hiding some huge things about Nintendo Switch 2. And there's also the possibility that the big thing that they might be hiding up their sleeves may have nothing to do with anything that's been brought up today, which may be the most exciting possibility of them all. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart, thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.